Now that the playoffs are closer than ever and hockey has returned, I thought there was no better time to talk about most teams' X Factor, as in the player that could prove to be in the qualifiers or further in to be a game changer. Many of these players have already had previous playoff success, and a few others have yet to go far. And with that, here are 10 X Factors for 10 different teams.
Chirping is when you talk smack with the opposing player, opposing team. The best chirp and the most ruthless chirp is just the most simple thing I hear. All my dad used to say was, if you did something, just say be better. To me, that hurts the most, something that simple.
We all know that out of the entire league, Tkachuk is one of the best at getting under his opponent's skin, as we've seen this previously with Zach Kassian and Drew Doughty. The art of chirping, especially in the playoffs, can be a valuable tool in the arsenal, as we saw last postseason with Brad Marchand, easily baiting Mr. Game 7 into taking a penalty and allowing Boston to cash in on the man advantage. Therefore, if Tkachuk is able to push a player's buttons like he pushed James Neal's, and get him to take liberties or even get suspended, it could give the Flames the upper hand in the end. Jack Adams' nominee, Tortorella, has proven to be one of the best, if not the best coach currently in the NHL. And Torts, who encourages a blue-collar type of work ethic, has paired well with Columbus, similarly to fine wine and cheese. Without big names such as Panarin, Duchesne, Bobrovsky, and Dzingel on the roster, the coach has still been able to guide his team and allow them to fight for a chance at the Cup, or the first overall pick. And really, I don't think anyone really expected the Jackets to be in a playoff position, upon the polls at all. I know I didn't. Therefore, Tortorella's behind-the-bench expertise will be vital when it comes to CBJ advancing past Toronto. A team that seemingly fell apart last season was kept relevant mainly due to Connor Hellebuck's heroics between the pipes. The Vezina nominee, with defense that was severely lacking up front, was still able to keep decent numbers after making over 1,600 saves. To give a little perspective on the Tendy, after playing 58 games for his club while shouldering much of the workload, made the most saves last season out of the entire league. The guy made more saves than Vasilevsky and Price, with less than par defense comparatively, and still came out with a better save percentage. Therefore, I think it's a fair statement to speculate that if Hellebuck is on his A-game, the Jets could extinguish the Flames in the end. One good thing, at least for Penguins fans, that came out of the pause was that it enabled Jake the Snake, aka Pittsburgh's playoff specialist, to recover from a long-term injury. And to back up the claim that Getzel will prove to be clutch is the fact that during the 2017-2018 postseasons, number 59 was Pittsburgh's leading goal scorer, as he totaled 23 goals and 42 points during those 37 playoff games. Cap that off with the insane season that he was having before the injury, 43 points in 39 games, not a big deal, and it's a sure fact that Getzel is going to light the lamp for the Berg.
I think the only X factor in any way that the Canadians have a chance to win is if Carey Price stands on his head.
We've heard the phrase over and over since the Habs were slotted in to take on the Pens. And really, for good reason, as Price, who has had his struggles as of late, has proven to be a game changer in the crease. The netminder, who has had his fair share of playoff experience, could very well be the reason the Canadians prolong the series. But the main question many have been asking is, which Carey Price will be representing the Habs when the time comes? And which one figuratively will be the most likely the deciding factor on if Price can lead his team past an offensively stacked one in the Penguins? Similarly to Getzel, Tarasenko and the Blues have greatly benefited from the pause in play, as a forward who was sidelined all but 10 games last season due to a shoulder injury was able to successfully recover. Last postseason, number 91 was second on the roster for most goals scored during last year's Cup run. Even though he's not a Ryan O'Reilly, supplementing the first line and the power play with Vladdy will most likely give the Stanley Cup champs the added boost they need to defend the Cup. We all know that postseason success partially hinges on everyone contributing, including the third line. And for Charlie Coyle, last postseason, the forward definitely did his part by coming in clutch on several occasions. Coyle, who scored the game-winning goal in overtime against the Jackets in Game 1, was tied for first amongst his teammates in goals, with 9 last postseason. Even though he's not on the first line and boasting the most points on the roster, cashing in on the depth throughout the lineup is exactly how teams win the cup. While it's no secret that Toronto has one of, if not the most offensively stacked team in the league, it's also a well-known fact that the Leafs have one of the most bare back-ends in results, as in guys that are willing to block shots, hit, and defend, rather than just tally points. And when it comes to the most defensively sound on the blue line for Toronto, Jake Muzzin is definitely the go-to guy. As a defenseman, despite only playing in 53 games last season, still managed to lead the team in hits and block shots. Therefore, Muzzin will be definitely clocking minutes during the play-in round in hopes that Toronto can perfect their game on both ends. While it may seem rather puzzling not to have a star player such as Mika Zibanejad or Artemi Panarin listed, who pretty much both carried the team in scoring last season, having a player that won't be heavily shadowed capitalize will be one key to success against Carolina. And Adam Fox, who ranked 7th in team scoring with 42 points in 70 games played, has made quite a reputation for himself for being a threat against Carolina. As a defenseman who scored the game winner against the club in November, has had an impressive 3 points out of the 4 games that endeared him also well to the fans in Raleigh. If the Rangers are firing offensively from both ends with Fox leading the charge, the Canes, instead of sporting the hurricane flag, will be waving a white one sooner or later. No matter how delicately you want to put it, Bob's play compared to the Vezina caliber seasons we've seen from him while he was a Jacket was lackluster at best. While I could recite the netminder stats, since this is such a topic of conversation, I'm sure you know, having the worst goals against average in your career after a decade of play is pretty much falling off the wagon. Regardless, Bobrovsky, who will most certainly be starting for Florida, will have the chance to redeem himself in the qualifiers. Following his stellar play last postseason against the Bolts, Bob, as we all know, is very capable. But the ultimate question still remains unanswered. Which goaltender will we see present? The one that came in clutch last postseason and scored a massive contract in results, or one of the worst starting netminders between the pipes of last regular season?